As a Russian living in New York, I found Pnin by Nabokov to be a very curious and thought-provoking read. So let me tell you why you might want to pick it up too. First of all, this is Nabokov's fourth novel in English, I believe, and I just can't help but admire his mastery of it, I guess. I don't know if you can tell as a native speaker that this is not a native speaker's writing, but to me that was just as complicated and sharp as it would have been in Russian. But the really interesting thing is the plot itself. The book follows a professor who has fled Russia after the Communist Revolution and is now trying to piece together a quiet, if lonely, life here in the US, teaching Russian to a handful of students who are interested in this language. On the surface, it looks like the novel is centered around his helplessness, his inability to adapt to social norms in America, to the language peculiarities, which almost make his academic career sort of doomed from the start. Many people call this sort of funny and light reading, and I get why. I'd say that Pnin's little misadventures have made me smile too, from time to time. But at its core, it's a very sad story to me. For example, we see plenty of times how Pnin doesn't really want to talk about his past or reminisce about his childhood and adolescence back in Russia. And I don't think it's because something necessarily bad happened in childhood. It's because he understands that this is the alternate life he could have had, have the historical events not interfered into his life. Now, in the US, already in his 50s, he finally gets this taste of a stable life, his own home. He used to rent a room throughout all these years since he fled Russia, a potential tenure position in the college where he's teaching. Even that he doesn't have in the end and essentially has to start everything from scratch again. I think that Nabokov was deliberate in using a funny, lighthearted version of telling essentially a very sad story about an immigrant's life. But this contrast is exactly what made Pnin a very fascinating read to me, so I do recommend this book if you haven't read it yet. And if you did, I would love to hear your thoughts.